All right, everyone, back to our regular recording times. Welcome to the On the Line podcast. I'm your host, Noel Alberto, with co-host Oliver Dixon Jefford. Oliver, how are you today?
I am very good. How are you?
Very sore from flag football, as we talked about earlier. So we obviously are going to preview Vienna and Basel, but we're going to talk about Moscow and Luxembourg, where Julia Goerges and Karina Withoeft, German sweep for the last two tour level events in the WTA, and then some of the 250s that went on this week. So we're going to start out with something you brought up to me, which is Tsonga, fourth title on the season, first time he's ever reached this mark. But this is can't speak. This ends a string of very poor results from him. After he won Antwerp over Diego Schwartzman in straight sets.
Yeah, it's been a bizarre season for him, really. It started so well. Obviously, the quarterfinal at the Australian Open, then back-to-back titles in Rotterdam and Marseille. But then he's just been so inconsistent. Loads of first and second round exits, which is really uncharacteristic for him. Poor results at all the slams as well. First round lost at his home at the French Open to Renzo Olivo, which is a match he really shouldn't have lost. I mean, no disrespect to Olivo, but that's a match Tsonga should be winning comfortably. And then third round at Wimbledon to Sam Querrey, which is more understandable. Querrey's game is obviously should be going well on grass. Obviously, Tsonga's got a big game as well, but Querrey's got that huge serve, so it helps him. And then, second round at the US Open to Shapovalov. We obviously know how Shapovalov can play. He's certainly got a lot of talent, but Tsonga should be winning that as well. So it's very weird that he's down at 18th in the rankings. It's the lowest he's been ranked at this stage of the season for like 10 years or something, 2007, but he's got 4 titles, which he's never done before. So it's very strange.
Yeah, it's a weird season from Tsonga. Like, after he had his run of first, second, and third round losses, and then his first quarterfinal came in St. Petersburg, which came about a couple weeks after the U.S. Open. So that happened, and then finally takes the wild card here into Antwerp, takes home the title. Which has to be good for his confidence, but we'll see how he can follow that up here in wherever he's playing next, and then obviously ends the season in Paris, where obviously that's his home country. So we'll see how he does there.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. He's playing this week in either Vienna or Basel. He's the 8th seed, whichever one he is in. I can't remember. I did look at the draw.
It's Vienna. It's Vienna. Yeah. He's in Sasha Zverev's quarter, if things hold.
Yeah, so not a massively easy draw. I mean, it's so hard to tell. I mean, the way he's played, you'd think it would probably go up for another early exit, but you can't tell.
No, you can't tell at all.
And it's interesting to see where this season leaves him for next year, because he's going to be down low in the rankings, but he's still got a lot of titles. 4 titles, that's probably some of the most on the ATP Tour this year. I mean, you've got both Federer and Nadal on 6, and then Zverev on 5. He must be next. And then you see the seasons those 3 have had, especially obviously Federer and Nadal, and you see the season he's had. It's really bizarre, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Federer, Nadal lead the way, then Zverev. Yeah, third most titles, well, if you count everyone, but yeah, fourth most titles in singles. So something to say for his very odd season, but the results haven't been there though. So definitely we'll see. Definitely with obviously Djokovic, Murray, all those guys coming back. It's going to be very interesting, those lower seeds heading into Australia.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously Tsonga's someone who's capable of playing very well in his day. Maybe missed his opportunity to win a slam title, but you wouldn't rule him out going deep. But then you've got all those guys going to be low down as well. I think you've got Nishikori is going to be about 23rd by Australian Open. And you've got to see Murray, Djokovic all going to be lower down.
Raonic probably down there as well, even though he's playing.
Yeah, it's going to be some crazy draws. I mean, you can say that for both the men's and women's Australian Open. For various different reasons, there's going to be... I mean, we know we talked about back at the US Open, everyone was so excited for that Sharapova Halep first round match. You could be getting more early matches, probably not that early, on both sides in Melbourne. Especially because then you've got likes of Djokovic and Murray. You know, see Djokovic, more Australian Open titles than any other man in history. Murray, 5 times finalist, world number 1 throughout large stages of this year. And obviously he finished last season incredibly. Could be drawn against the other big guys in this 4th round, which seems really early. So it's going to be incredibly exciting.
Yeah, definitely exciting. So now we move on to Moscow and Kremlin Cup, where Damir Zumar, who's having a fantastic season, takes the title in 3 sets over Ricardus Berankis, and plenty of upsets in this tournament. Defending champion Pablo Carreño Busta out in the first round. Philip Kohlschreiber, the 4th seed, out in his first match. Your early exit pick, Albert Ramos Vignolas, out early to lucky loser Alexander Bublik. So Zumar takes advantage of the decimated draw and takes home the title.
He's been playing incredibly well. I think 10-love in his past matches in Russia, because obviously he won St. Petersburg a couple of weeks ago. So it's been an incredible run of form, his first 2 ATP titles. Big week for Bosnian tennis as well, because obviously the first all-Bosnian semi-final before that. He beat Basic in the semi-finals.
Yeah, Mirza Basic, yeah.
Yeah. But obviously a lot of upsets as well. And I think his big one there is Carreño Busta, because, you know, he's in that 8th spot for London. And, you know, obviously, he hasn't, the past couple of weeks, he hasn't played well. He obviously had that great one at the US Open to the semi-finals, but hasn't been at his best since. So I think his position at 8th is a bit of risk, especially considering the firepower of people nearby, like your Querrys and Andersons and, you know, Del Potro's now. So be interested to see how he does, because he's at risk of having that spot taken off him.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. We'll get to Del Potro in a second, but Zumar now at a career high, well, in the live rankings, 31. So, and he's playing in Vienna as well. So a lot to look forward to. So it looks like his brilliant end of the season is going to earn him, if things hold properly, a seed into Australia, which would be brilliant for someone like him at 25 years old, finding his way in the tour.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I think it was couple of years ago now, 2014. He had a good one at the Australian Open, made the 3rd round, and he didn't really move on from that. But now he's playing very well. He's one of the informed players on the tour since August time. I think he's won a couple of challenges as well. I think he reached the final of Winston-Salem.
Yeah, he did.
If I remember correctly, yeah. So it's been a fantastic run of form, and the confidence is really carrying him on. And he's got a great game as well. He's very talented. So, I mean, obviously his momentum is going to be stopped a bit by the end of the season. But, you know, you got to think you don't think this is his peak. I mean, he's obviously close to the top 30, but I think he could be top 20 if he continues going well next season.
Yeah, I agree. If he could bring this kind of tennis to maybe the slams, get into that second week, or maybe one of those quarterfinals of a Masters, because when you see people like Borna Coric doing it, who have been up and down in their career, you definitely think that someone who has the consistency especially over these last few months, like Damir Zumar, can bring it to these bigger events.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously he's got the slight disadvantage that even though he'd be seeded potentially to the Australian Open, he'd still be probably drawn against one of the top seeds. So it's potentially could be like a Federer or Nadal. But anyone else apart from them two, you've got to think he'd have a shot. I mean, aside from Federer and Nadal, Zverev has been the best player this year. He hasn't performed at the slams. And you've got, I mean, teams obviously acceptable if anything that's not clay. And anyone in there, Dimitrov's beatable. He lost to Rublev at the US Open 2nd round. So if he gets a decent draw and he's able to play well, he's someone who could be going deep at the major tournaments, especially considering they're a little bit more open than they have been in the past few seasons.
Agree. So now we move on to the man you mentioned earlier, Juan Martín del Potro. I said last regular podcast, I wanted to see 1,750 points from the Tower of Tandil, and we are 250 points down, 1,500 more to go. as he beats Grigor Dimitrov pretty convincingly 4-2 in the Stockholm final.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great week, and it's good to see that he plays. Obviously, there was lots of concern about his wrist coming in, especially since he'd been playing well. You know, he reached the last four at the US Open and the last four in Shanghai, but the wrist just seemed to hold up, thankfully. And he played some great tennis this week. Obviously, Dimitrov, someone who's had his ups and downs, but has probably had more ups this season. He's played well. He's nearly in London. So it was a good win for him, especially because he's lost twice to Dimitrov this year, both in straight sets. So I think a great week, and the charge for London is on. So we'll have to see. It could be exciting.
Oh, yes. Mr. Del Potro is he's playing in Basel, which couldn't be considered the tougher of the two draws, but he is the 4 seed, should be one of the favorites to make it into the final, away from Federer in the other half. So we'll get more onto that later. But yeah, brilliant for Del Potro. Very scary a couple weeks ago that fell on the wrist against Troicki in the quarterfinal of Shanghai. Won that match, got x-rayed. Brilliant first set versus Federer, but obviously Federer turned it on to win in 3, then win the title. But glad to see he is all wrist problems are practically gone.
Yeah, and making your point that he's in Basel, he's actually, if I remember correctly, beaten Federer in consecutive Basel finals. So Basel is somewhere he's able to play well, so it could be interesting to see. I'm a little concerned he might be a bit tired because obviously he's had to go straight from Shanghai, a deep one there, to Stockholm to Vienna. But you wouldn't rule it out. He's obviously in a rich vein of form at the moment.
Yeah, I would not rule it out at all. So now, moving on to ATP, to the WTA, where we had a German sweep for the final two tour level events. So Julia Goerges' first title since 2011. Obviously, our Maria Sharapova pick did not work out well, but you did tip Goerges to go pretty far. I did tip Kasatkina, but props to you because your pick of Goerges won the title convincingly over Kasatkina in the final.
I mean, she's had a very good year, and which is nice to see because she's someone who's obviously very talented, but past few seasons maybe lacking in confidence. Hasn't always had the ability to go far in tournaments, but obviously 3 finals this year, which was obviously all lost them all, which was rough because, you know, she had a 6-match final losing streak. But she just had way too much for Kasatkina on Saturday. And, you know, she just looks composed, and you can see how much it meant to her at the end. And it was nice to see, you know, because obviously she has been a top 20 player before. And, you know, this win means, obviously, it's unfortunate because partly because Kerber hasn't played well, but Goerges is German number 1 for the first time. And obviously is going to be in Zhuhai now. So I think it's a fantastic week for her. And, you know, maybe even a career highlight.
Oh, yeah. Like, I caught the end of that match, and obviously Kasatkina, or one of them challenged the call, and then just the raw emotion from her, seeing her win the title. Obviously, you mentioned the losing streak, and you mentioned German number 1. She's 20, Kerber 21, and she is, it is going to be, and in Zhuhai as well. So it has just been a great season for the German, who has struggled at times, and I've seen her play live. She has the talent, she has like the power to play with anyone. Now I think it's finally coming to fruition at 28 years old.
Yeah, I mean, there was I think it was 2011 or 2012. She had a great season. She reached, I think, a career high of 16th at one point during there. But I think it was in 2013 she had a run. I think that year she lost in the first round of 16 tournaments she played. So she was really unable to back up the great year she'd had. And then she didn't recover from that for a long time. But this season, just been very good. 4 finals, which is something not too many players have done this season themselves. You know, it's the second week at the US Open. You know, no shame in who she went out to, Sloane Stephens. So, yeah, it's been great. And she's another one you're looking to see if she'll have a big 2018, because obviously, as we know, I mean, she's 29, I think 28 or 29.
Yeah, almost 29.
Yeah, she'll be 30 next season, but as we know now, that age is not really a massive factor. You can peak at any time. So maybe we haven't seen the best tennis from her yet, or we're just starting to see it.
Yeah, hopefully we see more of this kind of tennis from her. And looking forward a little bit, 4th round best showing in Australia 3 times, 2012, 13, 15. So we know she can go far there. So just a matter of the luck of the draw. And our Sharapova pick crashed and fell in the first round as she went out to Magdalena Rybarikova.
I watched quite a bit of that. That's actually a fun match. I thought Sharapova would pull through because she's got that power advantage, but she really struggled with Rybarikova's slice, and Rybarikova was in control for a lot of that match. And she certainly deserved to take the victory there. But, I think it was still nice for Sharapova to play there. She hasn't played there for such a long time. The crowd certainly loved seeing her there. She got mobbed as she was walking around during her practice. Like, probably hundreds of people waiting to get a picture or an autograph. So I don't think it's the worst end to the season for her. She got the title in Tianjin, didn't play badly, and obviously got the chance to play at home. And it hasn't always gone to plan, but I think she'll be fairly satisfied with how this year has gone. It could have gone better, but it could have gone worse as well.
Very, very much agree. And I think you mentioned with the mobbing, I think Kasakina said that it's kind of dangerous because there's kind of like no protection in between like area or something like that between practice courts. Forgot what like the exact words were, but she said, especially with Sharapova there, a lot of people are getting like mobbed and stuff, or the players are.
Yeah, I think it's a bit. Kasakina said that the players have to walk from the locker room. You have to go through a cafe, which is open to the public, and that's where obviously someone walks through and everyone can get up and like try and get an autograph. I think that's what she said.
Oh boy!
But obviously, with someone like Sharapova is going to get that anywhere because she's a huge star, but in her home country, effectively a homecoming after like not playing in a WTA tournament because she's done Fed Cup occasionally for 10 years. There's obviously going to be a lot of people hanging around ready to catch even a glimpse of her.
Yeah, very, very much. Especially it was like 9-10 years since she's come back home to play at the Kremlin Cup. So nice to see her back. Very good season for Maria, and probably in her terms. But now we move on to Luxembourg, where Nicolescu went out first round. So defending champions not really showing up this year or this past week, but Karina Withoeft with a title over Monica Puig, who nice to see her make a final. And obviously we talked about the Puig-Kerber first round showdown. It went Puig's way as Kerber's just fallen off the face of the planet.
Yeah, it's a good week. Obviously, it was a good week for both Withoeft and Puig. I think Puig has really struggled since her Olympic triumph. And obviously, we all know what's unfortunately happened in Puerto Rico the past few weeks. So I think that's been difficult for her to deal with. Obviously, she's flying out there tomorrow with Sharapova to obviously lend a helping hand. But I think this is a good week for her. Obviously, not enough in the final, but obviously big for Withoeft as well. First WTA title. Something obviously there's no massive names there, obviously, apart from Kerber. But, still a strong field. Picked up some solid wins as well.
Yeah, and Withoeft moves 3 spots below her career high. She's 52 now, and her career high is 49. So she should, with a decent start to next season, get past that. And 22 only, so a lot of time to see Karina Withoeft strive.
Absolutely. I mean, she's got a big game. So she's obviously got the potential anyone who's got a big game has. But it's about that consistency. Obviously, that's something the younger players can struggle with. But we'll have to see. I mean, there's so many people in tennis that are so talented, but you never know whether they're going to be able to do it or not, or have the potential to do it. So it's just the waiting game a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm. And then you mentioned Puig, and obviously I thought Oliver and I's thoughts go out to everything that's happened in Puerto Rico, and you saw it in her final speech. She was very emotional, just bringing it up.
Yeah, it must. I mean, obviously it's devastating for the people on the island, but it must be difficult for her as well, because obviously we all saw the scenes when she won the Olympic gold last year, and obviously like you could see following her on Twitter before that, she was like obviously talking about trying to get her ranking up, and she just got her ranking in time to qualify automatically. And she's like, we're going to make it. And then obviously she's won the gold, and she's obviously a huge star there, a national hero. And I hope, you know, the people get buoyed a little bit by the fact she's there and come home, even though, like, just lift their spirits a bit. Because obviously I still think something like 85% of people still didn't have internet or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to hope that in any way that her and Sharapova can kind of help next week.
Yeah, very much so. Good to see Monica playing well again, and then her and Sharapova helping out in Puerto Rico and those who are in need there. So now we quick look back at our predictions from last week before we move on to the preview of Vienna and Basel. So Oliver had a very good Kremlin Cup on the men's side. Obviously, you know, our Kremlin Cup crashed and fell in the first round on the women's side, but he picked up a solid 4 points to my 2 points, because he did have Mannarino in the semis. I did not. My only semifinalist was Zoomer, and Seppi made the quarterfinal, so a decent sleeper pick there, and he had Ramos Vignolas get out early while I had Mannarino. My sleeper pick Medvedev, also a quarterfinalist, so I picked up a point there. He also picked up an extra point on me in Antwerp, as I believe it was he had Schwartzman, and Pair went out early. Schwartzman is a semifinalist. I had Chapeau. Actually, my Antwerp was just god awful. Cuevas was my only point. Don't mention it to me. But I rebounded quite well in Stockholm. I did have the Dimitrov Delpo final correctly picking the winner. You had the good Verdasco pick, but I did pick up an extra point on you because we evened out on points actually, because you had the Verdasco semi-finalist. So very good pick there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why I thought he would do well. I just had a feeling and it paid off. But obviously, you got your own back because you predicted the final, right? So,
yeah. And then I had Sagita, did well there, so picked up that point. And then both our early exits in Moscow went pretty well. Vesnina, and obviously you chose Mladenovic, who somehow loses 10 straight matches but cracks the top 10 tennis. But then at Kesakina, you had Goerges in our semifinals, but that's it. And then 1 point each for Luxembourg. Oh, we were so bad at this. We both had Martins. That's it. That's how good we are. But So total points, me, Noel 31, Oliver 28. So Oliver closes that 6 point gap this week. So now we move into our preview of Basel and Vienna. So we'll start with the Swiss indoors in Basel, Switzerland, where Mr. Roger Federer is the top seed. Rafael Nadal pulled out, bumps everyone up. Cilic, the second seed. Goffin 3, Del Potro 4, Sock 5, Bautista Agut 6, Mannarino 7, Misha Zverev 8. So before we get into our picks, obviously Delpo is something to watch out for, but I'm kind of interested. Federer Tiafoe first round again.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's going to be an interesting one. I think Federer's in better physical shape than he was at the US Open, so that helps. But, Tiafoe, I think he's trying to get points for the ATP Next Gen Finals, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's currently sits in ninth, so he's just out of it. So he's got a lot to play for.
Yeah, so he does sit in ninth, and so the top 7 automatically qualify, with an 8th player being the wild card, kind of just like Zhuhai, where top 8 women after Singapore get in, and then the 9th is a wild card. So for that, it was Peng Shuai. So, and we're still not sure, even though Next Gen Finals is a week before London, we're still iffy if Sasha Zverev is going to be going, because obviously he should fancy his chances in London, being one of the foreign players this year and having beaten Federer the likes of Federer already this year. So we'll see. But that is obviously one of the first round matches to watch for. But also, yeah, because of how tight this draw is and a lot of good quality first round matchups like Verdasco Cilic, Souza Del Potro, Dolgopolov Harrison, Sagita Shapovalov, Per Johnson. So a lot of good matchups. Other than Federer Tiafoe, what stands out to you, Oliver?
I think, like you mentioned, Verdasco Cilic could be a good one. It is a very interesting draw. There's a lot of big matches. And Sagita Shapovalov as well. They both had very solid years. So, yeah, I think those are the three. Federer, Tiafoe, because it's just interesting to see if Tiafoe can play as well as he did in their US Open match. And then Verdasco Cilic, obviously, Cilic had a good season. Verdasco played well last week. And then obviously Sagita Shapovalov have been two of the most improved players this year facing off. So I think they're the three that caught my attention the most.
Yeah, and one that also catches my attention is a former doubles matchup or doubles partner pairing matches up in Pospisil.
Yeah, it's Pospisil lucky loser, I believe.
Yep, right on it.
Should be interesting. I don't think that'd be an easy match for Sock. Obviously, we all remember them taking the Wimbledon title, their first ever tournament. They beat the Bryan brothers in that one, so that is an incredible run for them. So, yeah, it'd be an interesting match.
All right. So now we move on to our picks. So I took the courtesy to not waste time, write down my picks. So my picks for Basel are in the quarters. It'll be Federer versus Goffin, Del Potro versus Cilic. And like I said last week, I'm all in on 1750. And as Oliver mentioned, a couple straight finals where Del Potro has beaten Federer in Basel. So I will take Del Po over Federer in the final.
I've not gone for Del Po to make the semi-finals because I think the tennis he's played will catch up with him. I could.
You're ruining the dream. You're ruining the 70.
I could be wrong. I probably will be wrong. Let's face it. I think he's a potential's there, but I don't think he's got a massively easy draw. I don't think anyone has. But I have Federer beating Goffin as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Cilic beating Batista Agut, who's a 16 there. And then I have Federer beating Cilic in the final. I can't see Federer not winning, to be honest.
That's what I said. But, then I saw Del Potro on the other side. And me and my dream of 1750. I'm a third of the way there. Let me have it.
I mean, I think Federer's lost 3 times this year, hasn't he?
Yeah.
In Dubai, Stuttgart, and Toronto. He's won the 6 other times. It would be a shame for the.
Oh, and the US Open. You can't forget.
Oh, yeah, US Open as well. Yeah, 4 losses even. It'd be a shame for the Swiss fans if he wasn't able to pull it off. I think he will.
All right. So now, Oliver, to your sleeper pick. My sleeper pick is interesting because I do have Goffin in the semifinals, but I think if Goffin somehow gets upset early, I do think someone like Hyun Chung, next gen, has very talented, can take advantage of the draw.
Well, obviously, Goffin has lost fairly early in Antwerp last week, his own tournament quarterfinal to Tsitsipas, match he shouldn't have lost. So maybe not in the best of form, lost early in Shanghai as well. But I've gone for actually Yuichi Sugita, who we've already mentioned that match against Shapovalov. Very consistent season, kind of got under the radar, but he won his maiden title in Turkey just before Wimbledon. So I think he could do well if the draw kind of goes his way. He's someone to look out for, I feel.
Yeah, massive fan. Yeah, definitely. I think this is his first year he's going to be inside the top 100, to finish the season. So brilliant season at age 29 and a couple spots off his career high ranking. Currently, he's at 38. All right, so who is your early exit here in Basel?
I've gone for Misha Zverev.
Stop copying me. No, I'm kidding.
I actually went for Misha Zverev last week as well.
Yeah.
I just think his form hasn't been great. I mean, he's got Leonardo Maia in this first round, which is potentially winnable because Maia hasn't been playing amazingly well, but it could be
It's a tricky matchup regardless,
not
though.
an easy first round, but it would be Jared Donaldson or Martin Fucsovic after that, and both of them have had very solid seasons, best seasons of their career probably. So I can't see him going far.
Yeah, sad boys for Misha. Even though we had him pick out early last week, made the quarters, lost to Dimitrov. No shame in that. So we'll see if Misha is listening to our podcast and ready to prove us wrong once again. And now we move to Vienna, Austria, where obviously defending champ Andy Murray not here due to injury, but top seed Sasha Zverev with second seed Mr. Homeboy himself, Dominic Thiem, but a tricky first rounder already for the man who struggles on hard courts as he plays next-gen star Andrei Rublev.
Yeah, that's a really interesting first round match. Not the match I think Thiem would have picked either for the first round.
Absolutely not.
Considering his recent struggles on hard. So yeah, it's a pretty tough draw. Yeah, it's interesting to see how he does this week.
Yeah, because you would think because it's his home tournament, he'd at least do half decent, but a sub 500 record in hard court matches that are best of 3 sets. So that just tells you everything about his hard court form. So obviously just like Basel, a lot of decent first round matchups. We have Schwartzman, Fonini, Kohlschreiber, Isner, Zverev, Troicki. Then we have a Ferrer, Edmund. That could be interesting, and even Gasquet, Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about Thiem having Rublev in the first round. The winner of that match faces Gasquet, Lopez. So that's a really interesting part of the draw. Obviously, Gasquet's, I think, gained a little bit of confidence recently, winning that challenger title. Been a few weeks ago, been a horrible season for him.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't rule him out playing well.
Yeah, and he also did well versus Federer. Getting 7-5, 6-4 for someone who has struggled so much against Federer, and he did this in Shanghai, by the way. But for someone who struggled against Federer so badly to play very well against him, to only lose by a break in each set, that pretty has to give you so much confidence for someone who's struggled so poorly this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he has been, obviously, I think a lot of it this year hasn't necessarily been down to factors in his control. He's struggled with injury a lot. Obviously retired in the French Open even, and then lost early at Wimbledon because he was struggling with injury, faced David Ferrer. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of end the season on a little high, if not anything spectacular.
Yeah. To even bring up the side note is it's been a poor season. He's still ranked 32nd. So just a couple wins, should still inside the top 30 where we expect someone of his talent to be. But at 31, clock windows closing quickly on Richie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, if he's able to stay fit, he's going to have quite a few years left. I mean, we've seen, like we said earlier, age is nowhere near as much as a factor on either tour now as it used to be. But it's all about staying fit. If he has more injury troubles next year, you'd have to worry about how much longer he could play on.
Yeah, most definitely. So now we move to our picks so my picks for Vienna, I had Sasha versus Isner, Dimitrov, and versus Luca Pouille. So one going a little bit out there, but I do like his draw. Anderson didn't do that well last week in Stockholm. Pouille has wild card. Sebastian Offner, obviously Wimbledon qualifier. Jack Sock made a couple rounds. But I do think this could be Pouille shot having a decent draw, playing some not foreign players. And then I have the Dimitrov-Zverev final with Sasha winning. Oliver, take it away.
I have I had the same as you for the top half. I have Zverev beating Isner. I think Isner's going to have a good run, but I think Zverev will prove too strong in the end. I have in my second one, I have Anderson beating Dimitrov. I think Dimitrov might be a tiny worn out after Stockholm last week. I think Anderson I just like I had the feeling with Verdasco having a good week in Stockholm. I have a feeling Anderson will do well this week. But I do have Zverev beating him in the final.
Right. And so my sleeper pick is someone who made the semifinal last week, but we just like Nick Kyrgios, we never know what's going to come out of this man, Mr. Fabio Fognini.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Schwartzman's difficult first round, but obviously winnable for him. Semi-finals last week as well, like you said. But I've gone for Zumher because obviously playing so well, unseeded here. But he's got so much confidence at the moment. You wouldn't rule him out doing well.
Yeah, and decent draw. Berankis, the man. Look at this. They just played in the final. What the heck?
He faces on Tuesday. I think they're meant to play.
Wow, that's amazing. Just realizing that, and then plays a kind of informed Tsonga if he wins. If Tsonga wins, we don't know which Tsonga will show up, or Hachanov. So we don't know, but that's a very good pick, especially if Tsonga goes out early, which we don't know what could happen with that man.
No, it'd be interesting to see if those two face. Who would win? Obviously, Tsonga on his day is probably the better player, but Zumher's in the best form of his career. Very confident, good run of form overall recently, while Tsonga's just got that one tournament he's won. His results before then recently haven't been great, so it would be interesting.
Okay, and now your early exit. Well, you told me earlier, and I'm going with you here. It's the homeboy, Dominic Thiem.
Yeah, I mean, I would like him to do well because
wouldn't we all? We so much talent there, so much talent.
It's always good for the tournament when the home player, the main home player, does well, which is why it's always good when you have Americans doing well at the US Open. It's why the semi-final lineup and the women's are so good. A bit like it's exciting when either like Murray does well at Wimbledon or Konta this year. The French Open, the crowd always go crazy. It's like for Mladenovic this year. Australia, they always go crazy for like Gavrilova, who always seems to make the fourth round. And they're the majors at the smaller tournaments is big as well. But I just don't see it happening because of his bad form recently. And like we said, Rublev to begin with, then if he wins that, either Gasquet or Feliciano Lopez, I just can't see it working for him as much as I would like to see him go well this week.
Dominic Thiem, I hope you're listening to us, but please prove us wrong. Please. We would love to see so much talent in you young man. We hope you can do it. Oh my goodness. I hope he proves us wrong. Really hope he does.
Let's see. I mean, if it's a him versus Zverev final, that'd be fun because obviously they're good friends. And he actually needs to head against Zverev as well. But he has to win some matches before that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be quite the final. Top two seeds, both already in London, good friends. And obviously, Thiem with the home crowd backing. Kind of like a Davis Cup final-ish atmosphere, would you say, if Thiem gets there?
Yeah, I think it would be from any match he plays, but obviously the final, because I could be wrong, but I don't think he's ever done that well in Vienna, actually.
Jeez,
killing me. To begin with, I mean, obviously it's because he was younger, not as good, but I don't think he's played amazing well, even when he has been more of a top-level player. So we'll have to see. I just can't see it happening because I can't see him getting out of this rut. I think he's someone who needs the season to end, have a refresh, and then dream with the clay at the beginning of next season.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. So last year he was a 3 seed, went out in his first match in the second round. Let's see, 2015, he went out in the first round. Great. 2014, first round. And he was seeded in all of these, by the way, guys. Fun fact. So let's see. Oh, so the when he gets the wild card in 2013, before he makes it big, quarterfinals, third set tiebreak with Tsonga. So it's obviously he just needs a wild card and not be seeded. That's the magic potion for Dominic Thiem.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, it'd be nice for him to do well because the more players playing well ahead of the end of year finals in London, the better, because it makes the tournament more interesting.
Yeah, and it's not even he's played bad in London too. What, set off Djokovic last year, defeated Monfils, so he's played decently there too.
Yeah, I mean, it's London. Obviously, Zverev has played well this year, but London is kind of getting the impression of it's Federer versus Nadal again. So it's the vibes you get. So especially with like all the other usual suspects, the 5 people who have usually qualified the past few years, like Wawrinka, Djokovic, Murray, Nishikori, Raonic, all out. There's opportunities for others, and you need an exciting tournament to end the year. It'd be a shame if it was a bit of a drab. So we need the people playing well.
Yes, very much. All right, so that will end the podcast for this week. So obviously the WTA finals are currently happening. And a side note, Oliver and I's picks, just to remind you guys, so we are the same semifinalist, finalist, and winner because we're boring. No, I'm kidding. We both have Svitolina, Halep, Venus, and Muguruza in the semifinals, and our final is Svitolina Muguruza with Garbiñe winning and claiming the world #1 after Singapore. So we will be back next week to obviously review Singapore, the 500s, look forward to Paris, and then when Milan, and also Zhuhai, but when Milan and London roll around, we will have special previews for those tournaments. So Oliver, now that you have this down, where can we find you on social media?
I've actually changed my name.
Oh my goodness.
It's at Oliver DJ 1998.
Oh,
much more simple than before.
Oh yes, at Oliver DJ 1998. No more underscores, no more SJs, just Oliver DJ 1998. I am at Not First Noel. The podcast Twitter is at On The Line Pod. You can find us obviously on Twitter, and you can also find us on SoundCloud. We also post our pod on YouTube because this is a live Google Hangout. It will post to the Twitter when our SoundCloud goes up, and then obviously we also share on Reddit. So we hope you guys like, share, subscribe, anything to help Oliver and our podcast out. And we hope to see you all next week.